be overstated. The indifferent attitude of policy makers towards a long-term development in preference to short-term, fast economic gains has the potential to contribute to the environmental wars of Sarawak. Sarawak government could learn from history that has clearly shown that one of the main reasons for society's collapse is conscious destruction of their natural resources. A society seeking rapid development could achieve its aspirations without necessarily having to compromise its environment. As such, it is essential for any society to ensure that it develops without necessarily compromising its environmental needs, so as not to undermine the present achievements. In short, Sarawak government must be resolute to fully implement and in enforcing the law. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, to conclude, I hope that once this bill is passed into law, the Sarawak government will focus on improving implementation and enforcement of the environmental measures to achieve sustainable development envisaged in Post-COVID Development Strategy 2030. On this note, I fully support this Natural Resources and Environment Bill 2024, which will replace the Natural Resources and Environment Ordinance 1958. Thank you, Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker.
Member for Batu Ketang. Thank you, Dato' Amar Speaker. Thank you for this opportunity to debate on the Natural Resources and Environment Bill 2024. This Natural Resources and Environment Bill will shift environmental regulatory control from the federal government to Sarawak, beginning with scheduled waste management in 2025. It is heartening to see the Sarawak GPS government taking more control over our own resources. And it is timely for Sarawak to take over waste management, which includes metal waste, pollution licensing, air and water discharge, and noise control. This indeed marks a significant move towards greater autonomy in managing Sarawak's environmental matters, all in accordance with MA 63. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, Sarawak can manage these types of waste that require licensing of specific activities: premise operation, waste transportation, discharge of oil into waters, and air and noise pollution management. The bill is designed to address pollutants and discarded materials which are no longer usable or profitable and which will otherwise be dumped into the environment, causing harm to our people. NREB will be the authority responsible to manage and to fund these efforts. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, Sarawak, under the philosophy of our Honourable YB Premier, is moving towards zero waste and aims to eliminate waste by designing and managing products and processes to reduce the volume and toxicity of waste and materials, conserve and recover all resources and not to bury or to burn them. Sarawak's zero waste agenda includes minimizing consumption and waste generation, extending the life of products through reuse and repair, processing materials into new products, extracting energy from waste materials, and composting organic waste. Sarawak is also moving towards a circular economy, encompassing a model of production and consumption, which involves sharing, leasing, reusing, repairing, refurbishing, and recycling existing materials and products as long as possible. The key principles of Sarawak's circular economy includes creating products that are durable, repairable, and recyclable, extending the lifespan of products through reuse, repair, and refurbishment, and restoring Sarawak's ecosystems and natural resources. While zero waste is a goal, a circular economy is a system that can help achieve that goal. And a circular economy is a practical approach to implementing zero waste principles by designing products for longevity, minimizing waste, maximizing resource efficiency. Sarawak is moving towards a more sustainable future. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, Sarawak, under the stewardship of our YAB Premier, is actively pursuing waste-to-energy initiatives to address its growing waste management challenges and to promote sustainable development. There is money to be made from waste to energy, and this bill will enable Sarawak to be in full control of this resource, Sarawak's resources. The GPS government, through the initiatives of our YAB Premier, intends to build 2 high-tech incinerators to process waste from Kuching to Limbang. And these incinerators aim to reduce the need for landfills and generate electricity from waste. Sarawak is considering adopting the Swedish model for waste management, which involves advanced incineration technologies and energy recovery. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, Sarawak also plans to convert agriculture waste, such as paddy and oil palm residues, into biomass for energy production. This technology combines with coal to produce blue energy, a cleaner alternative to traditional coal-fired power plants. Sarawak aims to export surplus energy generated from waste and other renewable sources to neighboring countries like Indonesia. And Sarawak's waste-to-energy initiatives has demonstrated a commitment to sustainable waste management and energy production. By harnessing the potential of waste as a resource, Sarawak will reduce its environmental impact and contribute to a greener future. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, this bill enhances enforcement besides the establishment of an environmental fund, as well as new penalties for those who do not comply. This bill also aims to streamline processes for managing pollution, licensing, and resource conservation, aligning with Sarawak's specific environmental needs and to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I therefore support the Natural Resources and Environment Bill 2024 for Sarawak to regulate its authority over environmental management from the federal government to Sarawak's Natural Resources and Environment Board by 2025. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, I rise in support of this bill. Thank you very much.
Member for Meluan.
Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, thank you for giving me the opportunity to debate on this bill, Natural Resources and Environment Bill 2024. Today, we gather here to discuss and advance a critical piece of legislation, the Natural Resources and Environmental Bill. This bill represents a significant step forward in the responsible management of our nation's natural resources and the preservation of our environment for future generations. It underscores the urgent need to safeguard the natural worth of our land and to balance our economic development with the sustainability of our ecosystem. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, the importance of obeying environmental regulation. First and foremost, this bill seeks to establish a clear and impossible framework for the protection of our environments. Obeying environmental regulation is not merely a matter of compliance. It is a fundamental obligation to ensure the well-being of our people, our wildlife, and the very land we depend upon. When we abide by this regulation, we protect the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the land that sustains our agriculture and biodiversity. The enforcement of this regulation is critical to combat environmental degradation. For far too long, reckless industrial activities, unchecked deforestation, and pollution have threatened our natural heritage. By adhering to the provision of this fourth in this bill, we not only prevent further harm, but actively begin the process of environment restoration. Complying with ensure a sustainable future where both industry and nature can thrive in harmony. As a responsible station, we must understand that every action we take, wherever individuals, businesses, or governments, has an impact on the environment. Regulations are not burden, but safeguard. They are the guidelines by which we ensure the prosperity of future generations. Therefore, it is imperative that we all commit to not only obeying this regulation, but also supporting their enforcement. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, the establishment of environmental fund. In tandem with this, the establishment of an environmental fund is a crucial component of the natural resources and environment bill. The fund will serve as a dedicated resource to support the implementation of sustainable environmental practice, restore ecosystem damages by human activity, and encourage the development of green technologies. By creating a financial mechanism to invest in our environments, we signal our commitment to sustainable future, ones that value environment preservation alongside economic growth. This fund will be instrumental in financing projects that rehabilitate endangered ecosystems, protect biodiversity, and mitigate the effect of climate change. It will also provide much-needed resources to communities and businesses striving to adopt sustainable practices. In doing so, it will empower every station to take part in the preservation of our shared natural legacy, whilst ultimately fostering the creation of green jobs and sustainable industries. The fund represents an investment not only in the environmental but in economic resilience of our nation. As we confront the realities of climate change, the environment's degradation, this fund will allow us to act swiftly and decisively to protect the most vulnerable region and ecosystem. It ensures that our future growth does not come at the expense of the very resources that sustain us. Tan Sri Amar Speaker, for conclusion, in closing, the National Resources and Environment Bill is not just a legal framework. It is called to action for every individual, every business, and every government to fulfill their duty as stewards of our environments. By obeying the regulations set forth in this bill, we protect our natural resources and ensure the health and the prosperity of citizens for generations to come. By establishing an environment fund, we invest in a sustainable future, one where economic development and environment protection go to hand in hand. Let us pass this bill with full understanding of its importance. Let us uphold the principle of responsibility, sustainability, and stewardship, and let us move forward together, committed to preserving the natural beauty and resources that make this nation so unique. With this, I here strongly support the bill. Thank you.
Member for Batu Lintang.
Thank you, Dato' Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to debate on this bill, which is expected to be on par or better than the federal legislation on environmental matters, particularly the Environmental Quality Act 1934, as we look forward to compliance with Malaysia's and our obligations under the various environmental treaties and agreements that we have signed and the environmental sustainability goals that we have envisaged and are committed to. It must therefore be a holistic regulatory framework that should include precautionary, equity, polluters pay principle to protect and conserve natural resources, protect human health and the environment from pollution and waste, and minimize risks of harm to human health and the environment from pollution and waste. Allow me to refer to and comment on the following specific clauses in this bill. Clause 4(1) of the Composition of Natural Resource and Environment Board, NIEB, and subclause (1) states that there be no more than 5 other members with appropriate experience, knowledge, or expertise. I will humbly suggest that we express and include the participation of non-governmental organizations which are active in promoting and enhancing environmental sustainability and quality in the board, as they could provide oversight and lend credence to the board, and they could also serve as check and balance in the state of matters on matters concerning the environment. The Environmental Quality Act 1974 has established the Environmental Quality Council, and under that, subsection 4(2)(r) of the EQA 1974 specify that 2 members shall be appointed by the ministers from registered NGOs which are active in promoting and enhancing environmental quality. Clause 7(g) will respect the powers of the board. It is my respectful view that it should make clear that such companies that the board may want to acquire, subscribe, or accept offer of shares, equity, or interest in, or form either wholly owned by or as a subsidiary of the board, or in association or joint venture with other persons, that those companies should not put the board into a position that there may arise conflict of interest. In fact, why should the board need to acquire shares or form companies? Clause 23(7) with regards to the designation of an area of land as conservation area, I do not need to repeat, but will express my support to the relevant points raised by an honourable member from Bacalalan, that the conservation areas should be subject to all inherent rights of the indigenous communities and peoples to their customary territories and access. On the environmental impact assessments, EIAs, clause 27(11). Why is the board interfering in the approval of the EIA reports and allowing for the work to start before the approval or rejection of the reports. This should not be the case. It is the practice of many, and actually being contemplated by the federal government as well, to incorporate into the EQA 1974 that there must be a list of registered qualified persons, and through that the project proponents choose the experts to conduct the EIAs. Project proponents should not pay the qualified persons directly. A separate fund should be set up and managed by the NREB to ensure that the report is done in an unbiased manner. The project proponent contributes to this fund and the NREB pays the qualified person. This is something that the federal government is also planning to do. They would like to stop the direct engagement and payment of qualified persons to do EIA reports by the project proponents. There's a guideline documents for the EIA consultants, which are registered with the Department of Environment, DOE. And I would point to Section 34A, Section 34AA, capital 35 and 36 of the Environmental Quality Act 1934, which covers EIA reports, prohibition orders for prescribed activities, appeal against the decision of the Director General, and who comprise the appeal boards. There are generally good provisions for the enhancement of protection of the environment. And it's also in the federal legislature that affected communities can also challenge the decision of the controller. And I hope that such an appeal process is also set up here. In our proposed bill, there's no limit on how many times a project proponent can submit and amend the EIA reports. The federal legislature does not have this either, but this should not. This is a matter for debate. Once an EIA report is rejected because it does not comply with the overarching principles of environmental protection, it should stay rejected. Project proponents should not be allowed to amend reports continuously to proceed with the projects. EIA reports are only a tool to measure impacts, but it cannot be a tool to justify a project through mitigations. Therefore, I would also like to respectfully pray that it be expressed that all EIA processes must undergo a mandatory public participation process as it is practiced in Peninsular Malaysia. On the precautionary and polluter pay principle, both this precautionary and polluters pay principle must be incorporated, although even the federal legislature does not have it yet, but we should have it within our ordinance. There must be a clear provision for any cleanup of the pollution clause, and that we should not go back to the taxpayers for the cleaning up. There must be full monitoring and follow-up checks, and when there is a cleanup, the polluted areas must be cleaned up to the stage it was prior to any pollution taking place. The legislative provision must make it clear that all this must be undertaken by the polluters. Generally, Clause 99(e) states that MNKN may make regulations for rehabilitation of land, soil, premises, and other elements which has been damaged as a result of pollution activities, which adversely affect the environment. However, I think it is important that this ordinance has a separate section on rehabilitation to the way it was at the expense of the polluters. Madam Speaker, with this reservation, I'll support this bill. Thank you.
Now I call upon the Honourable Minister to do the winding up.
Tuan Datuk Amal Speaker, saya ingin mengucapkan terima kasih kepada semua ahli-ahli yang berhormat yang turut serta dalam perbahasan on the Natural Resources and Environment Bill 2024. Ramai yang berucap, ramai yang memberi pendapat pandangan yang sungguh baik. Terdapat seramai 27 ahli-ahli yang berhormat telah menyertai perbahasan dan menyokong sepenuhnya rang undang-undang ini. Dan Sri Datuk Amal Speaker, the bill represents a significant step in Sarawak's commitment to sustainable development, offering a comprehensive framework that strengthens environmental protection laws and promotes long-term socio-economic growth. By instituting this stringent legislation, this bill addresses the critical need to combat climate change and environmental degradation. As the world grapples with these urgent issues, Sarawak's position is served as a part of a global effort to protect the planet, aligning with international environmental standards and practices. In addition, this bill provides Sarawak with the tools needed to minimize environmental degradation while encouraging economic development, including the green economy, CCUS project, circular economy, and as mentioned by ahli yang berhormat Batu Kitang, waste to energy. Banyak lagi ya. Ini adalah sesuatu yang amat penting, including the CCUS project, as mentioned by the Honourable Member for Sato. By regulating emission, waste and pollution from industries, it ensures a cleaner, healthier environment for Sarawak citizens, fostering a better quality of life. This bill demonstrates that economic growth and environmental sustainability are not mutually exclusive, but can, in fact, complement each other, ensuring that the future generation inherit a thriving, resilient environment. The purpose and intent of this bill are clear: to grant Sarawak the necessary legal framework to responsibly manage its natural resources and protect its environment. This bill, grounded on the principles of the Malaysian Agreement 1963, allows Sarawak to exercise full autonomy over its environmental governance, thereby strengthening its ability to preserve its unique ecosystem while fostering sustainable economic and social development. Sarawak's commitment to this bill demonstrates a forward-thinking approach to governance, where the needs of the present are met without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own. With this legislation, Sarawak is reaffirming its commitment to a cleaner, greener and more sustainable future. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, on the issues raised by several ahli yang berhormat on the public engagement and transparency, please rest assured that the Sarawak government, through NREB and other relevant agencies, are conducting and will continue with various awareness programs to increase the level of awareness among Sarawakians on the importance of environmental protection. There are also ongoing exercises to engage the public in various platforms such as community outreach and stakeholders consultation. Several ahli yang berhormat touch on the issue of enforcement. In order to achieve the objective of this bill, Sarawak government recognize the importance of enforcement. We will strengthen our enforcement as well as capacity building through increasing expertise, manpower, and adopting advanced technologies such as AI and big data. In response to ahli yang berhormat Prof. Pending, any project proposed must comply with the regulatory requirements prior to its implementation, including CCUS project. Anyway, Kasawari project is about the extraction of sour gas, and it is not CCUS project. This project is progressing very well, and it is fully funded through a production sharing contract, PAC, under Petronas. On the issue of the cascading dam, Yang Berhormat Telang Usang telah pun menerangkan secara jelas tentang kedudukan. Dan kita pun mengetahui majoriti rakyat di kawasan itu bersetuju supaya projek di Sungai Tutuh Baram itu dilaksanakan. Jika sekiranya majority of the people objecting to the developments of this cascading dam, the project would not be proceeded with. Dalam hal ini, Yang Berhormat Telang Usang sudah menerangkan. Ianya mendapat sambutan yang begitu membanggakan. Jadi pendirian kita ialah kalau mereka mahu, kita jalankan kerja-kerja feasibility study, technical study, dan kalau tidak mahu, majority tidak mahu, sibuk. Tapi untuk kita nak memastikan 100% tidak ada di dunia ini, kita mesti ada 100% persetujuan, barulah kita nak melaksanakan. Tapi kalau majoritinya setuju, kita teruskan, kita jalankan kajian, dan kalau nya feasible, then we move forward. Kalau majority objecting, munya si mau sibuk. Jadi itulah pendirian kita. Tan Sri Datuk Ahmad Speaker, in reply to ahli yang berhormat for Terbedu, this bill empowers the minister to declare through an order published in the Gazette that certain types of fires used for specific activities are not considered open burning. The government will take the necessary step to assess the type of activities that may be exempted through this order from time to time. Yang berhormat daripada Batu Lintang, terima kasih atas cadangan. You will consider a representative from the NGO to be in the board. Dan apa juga prosedur-prosedur kita akan selidiki untuk kita memperbaiki apa yang perlu kita perbaiki. Apabila rang undang-undang ini dilulus untuk menjadi satu undang-undang, kita akan formulate the regulation to be met after this bill is passed. Dan saya juga mengucapkan berbanyak-banyak terima kasih atas pandangan, termasuklah yang dicakapkan berhubung dengan the conservation side, harus mengambil kira tanah-tanah yang dimiliki oleh rakan-rakan kita, saudara-saudara kita di bawah NCR itu kita akan ambil kira. Dan Datuk Speaker, on various points raised by ahli-ahli yang berhormat, the government will take this into consideration in formulating the regulation to be made after this bill is passed. Once again, I would like to thank all members of this August House for participating in the debate and supporting this bill. Thank you very much.
Ahli yang berhormat, The question before the Dewan is that the motion standing in the order paper in the name of the Honorable Deputy Premier, Minister for Natural Resources and Urban Development 2, and Member for N82 Bukit Sari be referred to the Committee of the whole House. As many as our opinions say yes. As many as contrary opinions say no, the yes have it, the motion is passed and referred to the Committee of the whole House. The Dewan shall resolve into the Committee of the whole House to consider the bill which stands committed to the committee. The Dewan shall now consider the Natural Resources and Environment Bill 2024.
Clauses 1 to 101.
The question is that clauses 1 to 101 are ordered to stand part of the bill. As many as opinions say yes, as many as contrary opinions say no, the yes have it. Clauses 1 to 101 are ordered to stand part of the bill.
Schedules.
The question is that the first and second schedule be ordered to stand part of the bill. As many as opinions say yes, as many contrary opinions say no, the yes have it. The schedules are ordered to stand part of the bill.
Enacting clauses, schedules, and title.
The Dewan shall now resume.
Tuan Sri Dato' My Speaker, I wish to report that the Natural Resources and Environment Bill 2024 has been considered by the Committee of the whole House and agreed to without amendment.
Rang Undang-Undang Kerajaan Bacaan Kali yang Ketiga, Natural Resources and Environment Bill 2024, Deputy Premier, Minister for Natural Resources and Urban Development 2.
Tuan Sri Dato' My Speaker, I beg to move that the Natural Resources and Environment Bill 2024 be now read a third time and do pass.
Alai Yang Berhormat, the question before the Dewan is that the Natural Resources and Environment Bill 2024 be read a third time and do pass. As many as the opinions say yes, as many as contrary opinions say no, the yes have it. The bill is read a third time and pass.
Natural Resources and Environment Bill 2024.
Adanya Berhormat, we have a break. Sitting resumes at 5:10, 10 past 5 p.m.
Usul untuk memindah Peraturan Mesyuarat Dewan Undangan Negeri Sarawak.
Ahli yang berhormat, I had received a ministerial motion from the Honourable Minister for Tourism, Creative Industry and Performing Arts, Minister for Youth, Sports and Entrepreneur Development, bracket 1, bracket A. I shall now call upon the Honourable Minister and Member for N15 Asajaya to move the motion.
Terima kasih Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good afternoon. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, I have a motion under my name and has duly given notice of motion dated 7 November 2024 under the Standing Order 23 bracket 1 bracket A to move the following motion. Whereas there is a need to debate the standing orders to address new developments and challenges that has arisen, which are not adequately covered by the standing orders of Parliament and state legislatures in Malaysia. Whereas the proposed amendments attached herewith as Appendix 1 are aimed at improving the governance of proceedings in the Dewan by ensuring that allegations made in the Dewan are substantiated and verified. And whereas the said amendments are necessary to address the misuse of social media and press conferences, which have seen members making vitriolic and insidious comments ridiculing and scorning the ruling of the Speaker. Whereas the proposed amendment involves changes to the following standing order. 1. Standing Order 29. Number 2. Standing Order 32 bracket 10. 3. Standing Order 40 bracket 3. 4. Standing Order 86. And 5thly, Standing Order 90. And whereas the Standing Orders and Selection Committee of Dewan Undangan Negeri Sarawak had on the 30th of October 2024 consented to the proposed amendment to the Standing Order. Now therefore, this August House or this Dewan hereby resolve that firstly, the provisions of the Standing Order shall be amended in the manner shown in the Appendix 1. And secondly, copies of the Standing Orders, including all amendments, shall be printed by the government printer or other printer as proposed, as approved by the Speaker of Dewan Undangan Negeri Sarawak. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, the proposed amendments are aimed at improving the governance of proceeding in the Dewan by ensuring that allegations made in the Dewan are substantiated and verified. Through this amendment, it is imperative to address the recent development and emerging challenges that are not sufficiently covered by the current standing orders of both Parliament and state legislatures in Malaysia. As the legislative landscape continues to evolve, these amendments are crucial to ensuring that the governing rules remain adaptable, comprehensive, and capable of effectively managing contemporary issues and maintaining the integrity of parliamentary proceedings. Further, the proposed amendments are also critical to address the growing misuse of social media and press conferences, where certain members have made inflammatory and contemptuous remarks that seek to undermine and ridicule the authority of the Speaker's ruling. For the information of this August House, the Standing Orders and Selection Committee of Dewan Undangan Negeri Sarawak, which was held on the 30th of October 2024, had consented to this proposed amendment to the Standing Orders. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, this Dewan is the highest legislative body of the state. Proceedings of this Dewan should be conducted with dignity, with solemnity and decorum. What is said in this Dewan and reported outside could influence the unity and harmony of the multiracial, multi-ethnic community in the state. Therefore, it is important that all deliberation and decision of this Dewan should be honored and respected. Misrepresentation of anything that is said or transpired in this Dewan, either to the press or to the public, generally must be avoided. Additionally, we already have the avenue to discuss and debate in this August House. Therefore, all rulings and decisions later made by the Speaker ought to be duly respected and should not be made a matter of public ridicule and contempt through comments and misrepresentation to the media, as we have seen cases where members ridiculing the ruling of the Speaker with verbose and vitriolic remark the minute the meeting of this August House was adjourned. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, it is therefore necessary to amend the Standing Order 20, Standing Order 32(10), Standing Order 40(3), Standing Order 86 and Standing Order 90 to address the misuse of social media and press conferences, which have seen members openly ridiculing the rulings of the Speaker through lengthy, inflammatory and vitriolic remarks, undermining the authority and decorum of the proceedings. The proposed amendment to the Standing Order of the Dewan Undangan Negeri Sarawak is referred to as Appendix 1. I think I'll just read the Appendix 1, Dr. Speaker, for it to be in the handset. Proposed amendment to the Standing Orders of the Dewan Undangan Negeri Sarawak. Amendment to Standing Order 20. Standing Order 20 is amended by substituting subparagraph bracket I of paragraph bracket 2 with the following new subparagraph bracket 1, bracket I. Bracket I, be asked to verify statements, allegations or comment in newspapers, online news portals, social media, or any online platform, or of private individuals or bodies are accurate or truthful. 2. Amendment to Standing Order 32. Standing Order 32 is amended by bracket A, substituting paragraph bracket 10 with the following new paragraph. Bracket 10, it shall be out of order for any member to use or refer in his speech or contained in his speech. Bracket B, substituting for the full stop at the end of subparagraph bracket C a semicolon and adding immediately thereafter the word in hyphen N. And C, adding the following new subparagraph bracket D after subparagraph bracket C. Subparagraph D reads, any information, allegation or comment by any person or organization, including those published in the newspapers, online news portals, social media or any online platform, the veracity or truth whereof he is unable to or has not been able to verify. 3. Amendment to Standing Order 40 bracket 3. Standing Order 40 bracket 3 is amended by bracket I, substituting the full stop at end of paragraph E with a semicolon and adding immediately thereafter the word in hyphen O and 2, Roman 2, adding the following new paragraph bracket F after paragraph bracket E. Bracket F reads, persistently using or repeating any information, allegation or comment contained in any newspaper, online news portal, social media or any online platform which he has not verified, or the truth or accuracy whereof he could not justify when called upon by the chair to produce proof of such verification or justification. Fourthly, amendment to Standing Order 86. Standing Order 86 is amended by bracket A, inserting number bracket 1 before the words the decision and substituting the full stop at the end thereon with a semicolon and inserting immediately thereafter the word and in hyphen and bracket B, adding the following new paragraph bracket 2 and bracket 3 thereto. Bracket 2 reads, no member may, whether within or outside the Dewan, by conduct, action or words, ridicule, dispute, show contempt for or deliberately refuse to obey such ruling of the chair. And bracket 3, any member who is in breach of paragraph bracket 2 may be named by the chair, and the provisions of Standing Order 40 bracket 4 shall apply to him. Finally, amendment to Standing Order 90. Standing Order 90 is amended by inserting after the definition of in hyphen sitting the following new definition of social media. This is putting in a new definition, that is social media. Social media refers to the means of interaction or communication or dissemination among people in which they create, share, exchange or post information or ideas through virtual network and communities. For For all the above reasons, Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, I hereby urge all honourable members of this August House to fully support this motion so that improvement can be made to the standing orders to achieve the objective which I have outlined. I beg to move.
I shall now call upon the Honourable Deputy Minister for Education, Innovation and Talent Development and Member for N55 Nangka to second.
Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, I beg to second the motion.
Ahli yang berhormat, the question before the Dewan is that the motion in the name of the Honourable Minister for Tourism, Creative Industry and Performing Arts, Minister for Youth, Sports and Entrepreneur Development and Member for N15 Asajaya be approved. Ahli yang berhormat, under Standing Order 31, bracket 8, I hereby limit member speeches to a maximum of 20 minutes. Any honourable member who wishes to speak? Member for Talian.
Terima kasih Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker. Salam damai, salam Sarawakku sayang dan salam Sarawak maju makmur. Terima kasih di atas kesempatan yang diberikan kepada saya untuk turut serta dalam perbahasan pindaan Peraturan Mesyuarat Dewan Undangan Negeri Sarawak yang dibawa oleh Asajaya berangkap Menteri Pelancongan, Industri Kreatif dan Seni Persembahan Sarawak. Cadangan pindaan Peraturan Mesyuarat Dewan Undangan Negeri Sarawak yang sedang kita bahaskan, yang dibuka untuk dibincangkan pada hari ini adalah langkah yang sangat penting untuk memastikan proses penggubalan undang-undang dan pengurusan mesyuarat berjalan dengan lebih berkesan dan relevan dengan perkembangan semasa, sekaligus meningkatkan keberkesanan pelaksanaan segala urusan yang membabitkan Dewan yang mulia ini. Pindaan-pindaan yang dicadangkan ini amat diperlukan untuk menangani perkembangan dan cabaran baharu yang timbul, yang tidak dapat ditangani secukupnya oleh peraturan mesyuarat sedia ada dan sudah sampai masanya juga untuk dikaji semula. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, dalam usul pindaan ini dinyatakan bahawa terdapat keperluan untuk mengemaskini peraturan mesyuarat bagi menangani cabaran dan perkembangan baru yang tidak diambil kira dalam peraturan sedia ada. Pindaan yang dicadangkan bertujuan untuk memastikan semua tuduhan atau kenyataan yang dibuat di dalam Dewan disahkan dan dapat dibuktikan, dan mengatasi penyalahgunaan media sosial dan sidang akhbar di mana anggota Dewan sering membuat komen yang merendahkan atau menghina keputusan Speaker. Pindaan-pindaan utama yang dicadangkan adalah seperti yang dimaklumkan oleh Yang Berhormat Menteri sebentar tadi. Ianya adalah seperti Standing Order 20. Pindaan kepada Standing Order 20 bertujuan untuk memastikan ahli-ahli Dewan bertanggungjawab terhadap kenyataan yang mereka buat. Ahli-ahli akan diminta untuk mengesahkan ketepatan atau kebenaran sebarang kenyataan, tuduhan atau komen yang dibuat di media cetak, portal berita dalam talian, media sosial atau mana-mana platform atas talian. Standing Order 32 bracket 10. Pindaan kepada Standing Order 32 bracket 10 pula melarang ahli-ahli daripada menggunakan atau merujuk kepada sebarang maklumat, tuduhan atau komen yang tidak dapat disahkan kebenarannya dalam ucapan mereka. Standing Order 40 bracket 3. Pindaan ini membolehkan tindakan diambil terhadap ahli yang berterusan menggunakan atau mengulangi maklumat yang tidak disahkan atau tidak dapat dibuktikan kebenarannya. Ini akan menggalakkan ahli-ahli untuk lebih berhati-hati dan bertanggungjawab dalam ucapan mereka. Standing Order 86, pindaan kepada Standing Order 86 adalah penting untuk memastikan keputusan Speaker sentiasa dihormati. Ia melarang ahli-ahli daripada mempertikaikan, menghina atau sengaja mengingkari keputusan Speaker sama ada di dalam atau di luar Dewan. Ini akan memelihara integriti dan kewibawaan institusi Dewan yang mulia ini. Standing Order 90, pindaan kepada Standing Order 90 memperkenalkan definisi media sosial ke dalam peraturan-peraturan Mesyuarat Dewan Undangan Negeri Sarawak. Ini penting untuk menangani cabaran era digital dan memastikan peraturan kita meliputi semua bentuk komunikasi moden selari dengan peredaran zaman ketika ini. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, pada pandangan saya, pindaan-pindaan yang dicadangkan ini diyakini mampu mempengaruhi keberkesanannya dalam setiap urusan Dewan. Seperti yang pertama, meningkatkan ketepatan dan kewibawaan. Pindaan kepada Standing Order 20 and 32 bracket 10 menekankan keperluan untuk mengesahkan kebenaran kenyataan yang dibuat oleh ahli Dewan. Dengan mewajibkan ahli untuk mengesahkan maklumat sebelum menyampaikannya, ini akan mengurangkan penyebaran maklumat yang tidak tepat atau tidak berasas yang boleh menimbulkan fitnah dan mengelirukan Dewan. Kewajipan ini akan meningkatkan ketepatan dalam perbahasan dan keputusan yang diambil, sekaligus memperkukuh kewibawaan Dewan yang mulia ini. Yang kedua, mengurangkan penyalahgunaan media sosial. Pindaannya berkaitan dengan penggunaan media sosial bertujuan untuk mengatasi masalah penyalahgunaan platform tersebut oleh ahli-ahli Dewan. Dengan menetapkan peraturan yang lebih ketat mengenai rujukan kepada maklumat yang tidak disahkan, pindaan ini akan mengurangkan kemungkinan ahli membuat kenyataan yang boleh mencemarkan reputasi institusi dan merosakkan integriti proses perundangan. Yang ketiga, memelihara kedaulatan dan ketenteraman Dewan. Dengan memperkenalkan peraturan yang melarang penghinaan terhadap keputusan Speaker, seperti dalam pindaan kepada Standing Order 86, ini akan membantu memelihara kedaulatan Dewan. Ahli-ahli akan lebih menghormati keputusan yang dibuat, dan ini seterusnya akan mengurangkan ketegangan dalam perbahasan serta memastikan prosiding berjalan dengan lancar tanpa gangguan yang timbul dari tuduhan yang tidak berasas. Yang keempat, meningkatkan tanggungjawab ahli. Pindaan kepada Standing Order 40 bracket 3 dan 86 menambahkan elemen tanggungjawab kepada ahli untuk tidak mengulangi maklumat yang tidak dapat disahkan di dalam ucapannya di dalam Dewan yang mulia ini. Ini bukan sahaja meningkatkan disiplin dalam Dewan, tapi juga mendorong ahli untuk lebih berhati-hati dalam membuat kenyataan, menjadikan perbahasan lebih berfokus dan konstruktif berbanding perbahasan yang berniat untuk menimbulkan kekacauan. Yang kelima, memudahkan proses perundangan. Dengan penekanan pada pengesahan maklumat dan pengurangan gangguan semasa sesi persidangan, pindaan ini akan mempercepatkan proses perundangan. Ahli-ahli Dewan dapat memberi tumpuan kepada isu-isu penting tanpa terganggu oleh pertikaian yang tidak relevan atau maklumat palsu, menjadikan sesi dan ianya sekaligus akan menjadikan sesi lebih produktif dan efisien. Dalam era digital ini, kita perlu memastikan peraturan-peraturan Dewan kita kekal, relevan dan berkesan untuk digunapakai. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, pindaan peraturan-peraturan mesyuarat ini mencerminkan usaha untuk memperbaiki tata cara pengurusan Dewan serta memastikan bahawa semua anggota Dewan bertindak dengan integriti dan bertanggungjawab dalam menggunakan platform komunikasi, terutamanya di era digital ini. Ini adalah langkah proaktif untuk mengelakkan ketertiban dan keadilan, untuk mengekalkan ketertiban dan keadilan dalam proses perundangan di Sarawak. Ia adalah langkah yang tepat ke arah memodernkan prosedur Dewan Undangan Negeri Sarawak selaras dengan cabaran era digital, sekaligus demi memastikan Dewan Undangan Negeri Sarawak kekal sebagai institusi yang dihormati dan berkesan dengan melaksanakan fungsinya. Maka dengan itu, Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker telian menyokong penuh cadangan pindaan ini. Sekian, terima kasih.
Member for Maradong.
Thank you, Tan Sri Dato' Speaker, for giving me the chance to debate on the amendment of standing orders of Dewan Undangan Negeri Sarawak. Being responsible for what we say is crucial because our words can have the power to influence, hurt, or heal others. And to be mindful of what we say ultimately reflects our integrity and maturity. Social media can offer numerous benefits like connectivity and access to information. But it also has negative effects like addiction and time wasting, cyberbullying, and creation of echo chambers. Many people cannot differentiate what they see and read in online news portals and social medias, whether they are true or fake news. And often they start to viral until serious damages are done. Therefore, it is important that one must ensure what one says is true and ready to substantiate it. The amendment to the standing orders is aimed at improving the good governance of proceedings and ensuring that allegations made in the Dewan are substantiated and verified. However, it is sad to note that some members of this august House, with their compulsive behavior, is ready to give half-baked or ill-conceived theories or allegations in this august House that they are not ready or unable to prove or substantiate. And very often, they can say one thing in this august House, then go to the media room to say something else. This can be most misleading and can tarnish the image and good name of another member or that of the government. To maintain and safeguard the decorum of this House, we must conduct this exercise to update our standing orders so that members of the House are duty-bound to stand for what they say in the House or in the social media or any other online platforms. Again, being mindful of what we say ultimately reflects our integrity and maturity. With the above observation, I support the amendment of Standing Order of Dewan Undangan Negeri Sarawak. Thank you.
Member for Petang Maru.
Thank you, Tan Sri Dato' Speaker. Selamat petang, salam sejahtera, salam Sarawak maju makmur. Tan Sri Dato' Speaker, I would like to congratulate the Honorable Dato' Sri Abdul Karim Rahman Hamzah, Member for N15 Sejaya, Minister for Tourism, Creative Industry and Performing Art, Minister for Youth, Sport and Entrepreneurial Development Sarawak, for moving this ministerial motion amendment to this August House. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, I am compelled to raise in fervent backing of the motion set forth to revise our parliamentary rules of engagement. These timely changes are not only prudent but essential in safeguarding the credibility and decorum of this revered legislative chamber. In this digital age, Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, we find ourselves in the torrent of unverified information, dubious allegation, and outright falsehood propagated across myriad online platforms. And yet, as steward of the public trust, we have a solemn obligation to uphold the standard of transparent and fact-based deliberation. The amendments to Standing Order 20 strike at the heart of this imperative by prohibiting members from legitimizing unsubstantiated claim. We send a clear message. This House shall not be a conduit for the dissemination of untruths. Our debates must be anchored in verifiable evidence, not fleeting hearsay. Furthermore, Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, the proposed revision to Standing Orders 32 and 40 empower the Chair to maintain the dignity and integrity of our proceeding by empowering the proceeding officer to censor the use of unverified information and to discipline those who defy their authority. We fortify the very foundation of parliamentary democracy. Honorable members, let us not forget that the mandate entrusted to us demand the highest standard of conduct. We are not here to engage in the spread of misinformation or to lend credence to unfounded assertion. Our solemn duty is to deliberate, debate, and decide on matters of state with the utmost care and diligence. This amendment, Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, will be a bulwark against the corrosive forces of falsification and disinformation. They will ensure that the discourse in this hallowed chamber remain firmly grounded in truth, accountability, and the unimpeachable principle of parliamentary democracy. I therefore ask all honorable members to lend their steadfast support to this crucial revision. Let us send a resounding message that in this House we stand united in our commitment to upholding the sanctity of our democratic institution. Thank you, Dato' Ahmad Speaker.
Ahli Yang Berhormat, Understanding Order 9(1), I determine today's sitting goes beyond 6:30 p.m.
Thank you, Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker. I stand before you to support the proposed amendment to the standing order of this esteemed Assembly moved by Minister for Tourism, Creative Industry and Performing Art, Minister for Youth and Sport and Entrepreneur Development, and member for Dewan Undangan Sarawak and 15 Asajaya. These amendments are not just a response to the evolving landscape of communication and information dissemination. They represent our collective commitment to uphold the integrity, respect, and decorum of this Dewan. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, in recent time, we have witnessed an alarming trend where unverified information, baseless allegations, and inflammatory comments have permitted various platforms, including social media and online news portals. This constitutes not only an attack on the honor of this assembly, but also undermines the trust that the public places in us as their representative. The proposed amendment seeks to ensure that any statement made by members within this Dewan are substantiated and verified. By doing so, we are not just protecting the dignity of this assembly, we are fostering a culture of accountability. Members will be required to back their assertion with evidence, thereby enhancing the credibility of our discourse. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, the rise of social media has transformed the way we communicate. However, it has also facilitated the spread of misinformation and vitriol. The proposed amendment directly addresses the misuse of this platform by preventing members from using unverified information. We are taking a proactive stand against this information and ensuring that our discussion remains fact-based. Furthermore, the landscape of public communication has shifted significantly. As representatives, we must not only be aware of what we say within this world, but also how our words may echo beyond them. This amendment will serve as a necessary check against the irresponsible use of our platform, ensuring that we engage in constructive dialogue rather than inflammatory rhetoric. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, the integrity of this assembly is also reflected in our respect for the chair and the ruling that govern our proceeding. The proposed amendment to Standing Order 86 emphasizes that any members who ridiculous, dispute, or disobey the chair ruling is acting against the very ethos of decorum that this assembly represents. By reinforcing this principle, we are fostering an environment where order, discipline, and respect prevail. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, in our connected world, the ambiguity surrounding terms such as social media can lead to misinterpretation. By defining social media within our standing orders, we are providing clarity and setting the framework for what constitutes acceptable discourse. This transparency will aid members in understanding the boundaries within which they must operate. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, inclusion, the proposed amendment to the standing order are a necessary evolution to ensure that we as a legislature remain relevant, accountable, and respected. They address the challenges posed by misinformation and uphold the dignity of our deliberation. By supporting this amendment, we are ensuring that our assembly is not just a forum for discussion, but a blessing of truth and integrity. Let us take this better step toward creating a more responsible, respectful, and credible legislative environment. I urge all members to support this proposed amendment. Together, we can strengthen the foundation of our democracy and uphold the value we represent. With that, I beg to support the motion. Thank you.
Any other member who wishes to speak? Member for Bawang Asam.
Thank you, Tan Sri Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to participate in a motion tabled by Minister for Tourism, Creative Industry and Performing Arts, Minister for Youth, Sports and Entrepreneurial Development. Tan Sri Speaker, this motion may be viewed as an important move in this Dewan. Statements or utterances made by some members of this august House, particularly outside the Dewan, to the press, or worse still, in the social media, testified to the need of this august House to solemnly reflect on how we can better restrain our honorable members and from doing something which may undermine the dignity of this Dewan. In fact, Tan Sri Speaker, if you look at the history of this Dewan, we have a distinguished record of upholding the tradition of parliamentary democracy. Even when there were a significant number of members of opposition, such as after the 1965 political crisis, after the 1974 or even 1987 state elections. Even during those periods of Dewan history, if you look at the handsets, deliberations in this august House were conducted without affecting its dignity and with the observance of the time-honored rules of parliamentary democracy. Tan Sri Speaker, I remember when I was the Speaker in the 1990s, most, if not all, honourable members would abide strictly with the standing order of the Dewan and accord due respect to all rulings and decisions of the House, the decisions of the House and the rulings of the Speaker. But after the 2006 and 2011 state elections, the number of opposition members increased significantly. Perhaps because of the influence of the West Malaysian politics in those days. Some of our opposition members in this Dewan became more outspoken, sometimes making disparaging remarks and comments about the decision made by the majority in this Dewan, or decision made by the House and the ruling made by the Speaker. Some of the times, immediately after the decision made by the House, or when the Speaker came to the ruling, some members would quickly leave the chamber and call a press conference to denounce the decision of the House and the ruling of the speakers. By right, if some members do not agree to any decision of the House or the rulings of the Speaker, there are adequate provision in the standing order to seek reconsideration thereof. I think it is improper for members to belittle or show their contempt by question or at times ridiculing decisions of the House or the ruling made by the Speaker. Nowadays, with social media coming into play, a lot of the social media statements and allegations may not be true and could not be substantiated by facts. One can go to social media, which can be perverted or subverted to create fiction, to manipulate information, to mount attack and ridicule people or ridicule the government, inflicting damages. In other words, skillful manipulation or deceitful exploitation of social media indeed could create havoc in the cyber war. Mr. Speaker, social media is a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you perceive it and use it. It is a revolutionary invention. If used properly, it can lead to a feeling of connectedness and help us flourish in our personal and professional life. Used improperly, it will have negative impact on us and on our society. Mr. Speaker, in view of the above observation, I think the introduction of this amendment to this bill, the introduction of this motion by the Minister is timely. Mr. Speaker, we know that if members of this House, we must at all times be governed or regulated by three things. One, the standing order, of course, plus Dewan Undangan Negeri Privileges and Powers Ordinance 2001. Second, the rulings or decision of the Speaker. Three, the norms of democracy. The norms of democracy. In any parliamentary system that observes the norm of democracy, There will be a majority which forms the government and a minority that constitutes the opposition. The majority is entrusted with the duty to govern, and constitutionally, the government of the day is accountable to the legislature. The minority is expected to play a constructive role in the Dewan. This does not involve harassing the majority or creating an atmosphere of ill will against the majority or disrespect for the Speaker. It is important that the minority should appreciate that they must submit to the will of the majority as determined by the people in the general election. The minority cannot assume that their views must prevail. Otherwise, the voices of the majority will be suppressed by the minority, contrary to the basic tenets of democracy. If the minority wants its view to dominate, it must wait for an opportunity to secure the mandate of the people to become the majority. So, Tan Sri Speaker, particularly with this social media coming into picture, life can be made worse because one can easily go online, as I say, using media to spread or manipulate or fabricate information without being substantiated. I therefore fully agree to the motion tabled. As said by your good self, Tan Sri Speaker, I think during the press conference at the end of the pre-dawn meeting on the 8th of November, the amendment that contains in the motion define what is social media is, or what social media is, and provide a nexus, a link between the current standing order and the punishments meted out against the offending members. I hereby give full support to the proposed motion by the Honourable Member for Tourism, Creative Industry and Performing Arts, a Minister for Youth, Sports and Entrepreneurial Development. Well done, Dato' Sri. Thank you, Tan Sri Speaker.
Member for Bukit Bangunan.
Thank you, Dato' Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to participate in the debate on the motion tabled by Yang Berhormat, the Minister for Tourism, Creative Industry and Performing Arts today, which seeks to amend and update certain provision in the standing order of the Dewan Undangan Negeri Sarawak. Tan Sri Speaker, standing order is a permanent written rules and procedure which may contain many important constitutional norms that govern the procedures and conduct of a parliament business, in this case, Dewan Undangan Negeri Sarawak. Thus, Tuan Si Speaker, standing order is a very important piece of document that I would say govern the operation and running of the Dewan Undangan Negeri. However, after decades, standing order may be outdated. Therefore, it may be necessary to amend or to even change the standing order, as some provision may not be relevant anymore, thus not suitable to deal with modern context. In this case, a new provision may be required to facilitate the smooth running of the Dewan. For example, the term social media. In past decades, it does not attract much attention as people use various social media for its intended purpose. Now everyone talk about the use of various forms or types of social media, online news portal, and so on, not only as a means to communicate with one another or disseminate information to targeted group or market segment, but more often than not, it was used by unscrupulous people to spread lies, slanders, rumors, to discredit one another, including politicians. This is a challenge that we are all facing now. Therefore, Tuan Si Speaker, in my opinion, there should be a provision in the standing order to deal with members who often use various types of social media or online portal to belittle another member of the DUN, including the lowering of the chair. And what we see today, we are moving in that correct direction. Tuan Si Speaker, we all need to protect and uphold the sanctity of the Dewan Undangan Negeri. Dewan Undangan Negeri is a place where laws are made, government policies and programs are deliberated and approved. Therefore, members of the Dewan Undangan Negeri need to maintain a high degree of integrity, decorum, professionalism, and should be made accountable to what he or she has said in this august house. Tuan Si Speaker, as I have said earlier, standing order should be dynamic and relevant to modern context. So in my opinion, the motion to amend certain provision of the standing order is not to curtail members' privilege of freedom of speech, but to ensure members would speak or debate within the ambit in the provision of the standing order. So with that short comment, Tuan Si Speaker, I wish to support the motion to amend the standing order. Thank you.
Member for Pending.
Tuan Speaker, thank you for allowing me to participate in the debate of this motion. This motion to amend the standing order is deemed as a gag order to oppress and suppress the opposition voices by stifling meaningful discussion when members of the House and those in the authority are queried or questioned. Exposing issues and truth to maintain public trust or ensure good governance is a check and balance that we as opposition must bring up in the hope of stopping any malpractice. Tuan Speaker, is it because the truth hurts so much that the standing order with new amendments has to be imposed on the opposition members to stop us from spilling the beans? I believe by zipping our lips with the new amendments will lead to more and wider abuse of power or corruption with no fear of anyone talking about it. How can the standing order be met so that anyone who asks question or makes statement to verify statement, allegation or comments in newspaper, online news portal? I wonder whether they are, let me repeat. How can the standing order be met so that anyone who asks question or makes statement to verify statement, allegation or comment in newspaper, online news portal, whether they are accurate or truthful? In my view, it is just ridiculous. If we need to verify news reported in the newspaper or news portal, they might as well close shop if the news reported were deemed to be inaccurate and not true. Tuan Speaker, there are many avenues for members in this House to clarify themselves, but gagging us should be the last thing to do. It is obvious the standing order is to create a culture of fear, to stop the opposition from speaking against the government or individuals, and to expose malpractice, abuses of power, or even scandals. We in the opposition are just carrying out our responsibilities expected from the people, but this August House is forbidding us from speaking out. Where is democracy? Democracy is dead, I would say. These proposed changes are the step backward to undermine our duty for an open debate. Tuan Speaker, why does this House feel the need to be so protective of its members? Should members act with responsibility and integrity, they should have no fear of exposure to any wrongdoings. The motion to amend the standing order made us wonder, are the members from the GPS are so vulnerable or even so problematic that they need the protection of the standing order to prevent anyone from speaking out about them? By such oppression, it will cause the public distrust on the government. If the state government is genuinely committed to transparency and good governance, it should welcome criticism as part of the democratic process. Constructive criticism is a vital check on power and helps identify areas for improvement. By tightening standing orders in this assembly, there is a real risk that these rules will prioritize protecting political interests over the public good. Tuan Speaker, should a member feel that he should not be criticized for any wrongdoing or for common good, then I would say the platform of being a people representative is not a job for them. He or she might as well stay at home and sleep. For this above reason, I cannot support this motion. Thank you. At home.
Member for Kota Sentosa.
Thank you, Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker. Thank you for the opportunity to debate this motion. The freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequences. What we say, why we say it, and how we say it is our individual and collective responsibility. We can communicate in more ways and more instantly than we have ever been able to in human history. However, the damaging and even tragic consequences of the words we use can be catastrophic. As honorable members of this august House, we must lead by example and set a good example to our younger generation. And we must hold ourselves and each other to that as well. Whether you are opposition or whether you are a backbencher or whether you are part of the executive. Everyone is entitled to an opinion and to share their thoughts and feelings. But why and how we do that requires care and accountability too. However, the right to freedom of speech and expression is taking an increasingly dark and deeply malicious tone. While members of this august House enjoy freedom of speech and freedom of expression, it doesn't come without responsibility. Because freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom of consequences. This is something that many likely don't realize when speaking in this august House, especially when feeling they are hidden behind the perceived safety of legislative immunity for accountability for their actions. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, one of the most common abuses of free speech and freedom of expression in this august House from some members come through the claim that it is just an opinion, a discussion someone is sharing about a situation or another person on social media. Opinions are just that, and they ought to remain as such. Members have a right to an opinion, and there is nothing wrong with sharing an opinion and having something to say, including when that opinion is perhaps controversial and or challenging the status quo. This is what often drives ideas and society forward. And we can see that members from this august House do give constructive criticisms, even though they are just backbenchers. What crosses the line, though, is when opinion is used as a veil or excuse to try and mask an intention to cause harm and or damage and or ridicule to another member of this august House, a group of people or an organization. It's not just what members say. It is why and how he is saying it too. Saying things that are deliberately or intentionally damaging and harmful, hateful or malicious, and doing so under the guise of sharing an opinion or discussion does not make it okay. This particular amendment does not seek to suppress or silence the opposition. On the contrary, it gives the opposition an opportunity to express the truth and to give constructive criticisms and to work within ethics that this honorable House deserves. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, the honorable member of this august House should be ethically and professionally required to ask questions and debate based on facts from reliable sources which are accurate and not on half-cooked facts, in the words of member from Balingan. Where any allegation against another member is made, it is only proper and ethical and responsible that this member cites the source of his allegation from a reliable source. This is to allow the public to draw their own conclusions based on accurate facts and not on hearsay or based on half-cooked facts. This amendment, Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, this amendment will prevent any member, including myself, to create a negative allegation or negative insinuation or negative opinion without first verifying the facts against another member, to create a negative perception against another member. Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, the proposed amendment to the standing orders are therefore timely, and on that note, I fully support this motion by the Minister. Thank you.
Member for Padungan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance to participate in the debate on the Minister's motion to amend the standing order. I will go straight to the proposed amendment to Standing Order 32, which I'll read out together with the original standing order. Standing Order 32, subparagraph 10, reads, it shall not, as proposed by the Honourable Minister, reads as follows, quote, it shall be out of order for any member to use or refer in his speech or content in his speech A, B, C, D. D is the additional, new addition to the Standing Order 32, bracket 10. But A, B, C as it stands in the existing Standing Order, A is treasonable words, B, seditious word, and C, words which are likely to promote feelings or ill will or hostility between different communities in the state or infringe the Constitution of the State of Sarawak or the Sedition Act 1948. Now, with the proposed amendment, the addition of clause D, which is any information, I'll quote, any information, allegation, or comment by any person or organization, including those published in the newspapers, online news portals, social media or any online platform, the veracity or truth whereof he is unable to or has not been able to verify. Unquote. Mr. Speaker, I have no quarrel to include some restriction on the use of information on social media, allegation on social media or online platform. However, I take strong exception and objection to include the words those published in the newspapers. Mr. Speaker, I just give you an example just to put in context how this amendment is going to work and how far-reaching effect it is going to curtail and suppress debate in this House. Last week, Donald Trump won the US state election. How do we know that? We know it through CNN, BBC, news portals. All right? With this amendment, we can't use that information because we can't verify it. Unless you want to call Donald Trump, hey, Mr. President, or Donald, you have won the election. You can't verify it by reading the newspaper. You have to verify it beyond what is published in the newspaper or news portals. That is how it reads. Because what is published in the newspaper, you have to verify the truth. Here, I give you an example. UNIMAS moves up in QS Asia University ranking. It's published. This is information published in the newspaper. Sarawak Tribune, today's newspaper. This is the information. University moves up in QS Asia University ranking. All right, one of us would like to congratulate UNIMAS. One of us may want to use this information in our debate. But cannot. You have to go and ask UNIMAS, hey, are you sure you move up the QS ranking? Or that may not even be sufficient. That may not even be sufficient for the test of verification. you have to call QS, ranking, QS ranking body to verify. What are you? That is what it means by verify. Verify from the source of information. The mere fact that it is published in the newspaper is not good enough for even debate in this house. When the whole world are reading the same news, you can't even raise it in your debate in this Dewan Undangan Negeri. This is ridiculous. And this amendment has the far-reaching effect that I have mentioned just now. Mr. Speaker, here there are a few accidents, they are still reporting. Right? Housebreaking suspect NAP. It deals with security issues. When members of the House wish to raise an argument on or debate on security of our state, he has to rely on newspaper reports, on crime rates reported in the newspaper. And how do you expect him to go and call who? Call who? Call police? To say, hey, how is it? And call which police? CP of Sarawak? IGP? KDA minister? Verify. Because otherwise he cannot use it in the debate. That is how it is. And it was even reported here. Mr. Speaker, let me show you how ridiculous this amendment is, by the inclusion of the word newspapers and online news portal. All right, here, Business Times, business portion of Sarawak Tribune. Positive growth continues for our country. But it is reported in the newspaper, you cannot rely on it. You cannot base your argument on it. You cannot even raise it in your debate on it. Because it is an information published in the newspapers. Mr. Speaker, how are you going to debate based on contemporary information? How are you going to get contemporary information and to base your argument or debate on? Yeah, I think Sato is seeking clarification. Yeah, I'll give him clarification.
Who is asking for clarification? Oh, Sato.
Boleh I'm just saying that you are quite emotional today. Very emotional actually, But we are here having a friendly debate, and what the point that you raised specifically is the issue that you raised. Well, it's arguable to me, especially because the issues that you brought just now about Trump, about the pepper, these are public, what do you call this? Public news, It is known to the public. It's not a specific sort of news that is questionable in a way. But if you want to question, you can. I mean, if you want to verify it, for example, like the Trump winning an election, so you can verify it through so many sources. You have CNN. You don't have to ask me this. That's why I said it's public, like newspaper. If you want to verify it, you can ask the newspaper. But what this particular, I think this particular motion is to deal with specific issues, specialized issues, which I think is more on the personal matters being raised by the members. Yeah, you agree with me, Okay, thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I take the question from Sato. He said, you know, Donald Trump won, you can verify from where? From the news. But you cannot, because by virtue of this amendment, Sato, you are a lawyer, I'm a lawyer, we are legally trained, the minister who table it is a lawyer. Read it. Any information, allegation, or comment by any person or organization, including those published in the newspaper, online news portals. You must verify beyond reading a newspaper. War on Ukraine. You want to talk about it, you cannot rely on any report in the newspaper or news portal. You have to go and call out Zelensky. Hey, are you having a war with Russia or Putin? Are you invading Ukraine? That is what you call verification. Right? But if you are unable to call up, you are unable to call Putin, or you are unable to call Zelensky, then you can't verify. You can't rely on news portal, newspaper reports to mention that there is a war in Ukraine. Even that you read the amendment, proposed amendment.
I think you have to get a better example.
You look at it. It shall be out of order. Yeah, but how are you going to verify that there is a war in Ukraine? Are you going to fly over there to have a look at yourself? You can't. How you? No. All right. No, the whole thing is that you can only verify it through news reporting. International news reporting, credible mainstream news reporting. All right, these are but that is what exactly this amendment prohibits. All right, you cannot verify. It doesn't give you the right to verify through another news reporting. Are you saying that if there is two newspaper reporting the same thing, that is sufficient verification? If there is a case, then so be it. Then state it in the amendment. If there's more than two newspaper reporting, then it's okay. Anyway, Mr. Speaker.
No, honourable member for Pedungan, you get a better example. To say Donald Trump is president is neither criminal, nor scandalous, nor libelous.
Mr.
So you
Speaker,
don't need to verify.
Mr. Speaker, in the proposed amendment, the wording is any information. There is no qualification that the information has to be scandalous. There's no qualification that the information has to be scandalous or defamatory or hurting someone. Not like ABC, the one before. This is D.
That's what is A, B, C, then D.
No. You see, it stands by itself alone. There's no requirement that it has to be read together with A, B, or C. It stands by itself alone. Mr. Speaker, you are a lawyer by training. You can look at the wordings and come to the conclusion. And if you think that, if you are of the opinion that D must be read and interpreted together with ABC, then make a ruling now. Yeah. I'm okay with that.
You are a lawyer, honourable member.
And now you don't dare to make a ruling.
You are a lawyer. Any repeat of a libel is a fresh libel. If something is libelous,
I'm not talking about libel. I'm talking about this.
It's libelous.
Mr. Speaker, I'm talking about this amendment. Look at the amendment, read the standing order. Look at the amendment, how it will have an effect on the debate in this House. Yeah. You look at the amendment together, read with the standing order. You see, there's nothing to talk about libel, nothing to talk about defamatory. It talks about sedition, it talks about what is it? So, Mr. Speaker, I raise my argument on this point. I think this proposed amendment is too wide. I can accept if the minister will be kind enough and reasonable enough to take out the words in the newspapers, comma, online news portals. Take those out, and I can accept the clause that, about social media, online platform. Yes, these are platforms that report news that is not accountable, that they are unlikely to be held accountable by any authority, like Facebook posting, like TikTok, all this. But newspaper, online news portal, they are licensed. Every year they have to report to KDN. So if they publish something very wrong, criminal, they are liable. I can accept that this proposed amendment if the words in the newspapers, comma, online news portals are taken out. And I believe there is a more reasonable proposed amendment to our standing order, Mr. Speaker. Don't be too prejudiced in your opinion of what I'm saying. Read the proposed amendment. Read the proposed amendment and think twice. All right, and see whether it falls exactly within what I say. Positive growth continues. How to verify? Cannot verify. You can't verify. Verify with who? It's a news report, information obtained in a newspaper. All right, Mr. Speaker, that's all for amendment to Standing Order 32.
I think it's the word "and" there you miss out. There's "and."
I have stated my stand, Mr. Speaker.
And.
You may not. Are you saying that because of the word "and", so the information, allegation, or comment reported in the newspaper has to be either seditious or, what is it? Seditious, treasonable, or likely to promote feelings or ill wish among different community? Are you saying that? Are you making a ruling on that? If there is, please make it clear. And that such information is only relating to treasonable sedition comment. Is that your stand? Is that your interpretation? Is that your interpretation? So it has to be sedition, treasonable. Am I right? Yes, and that is what you are saying. So other allegation other than treasonable sedition will not be caught in the amendment to D. Is that right, Mr. Speaker? Is that right? Is that what you are saying? What you are ruling today? Make up your mind. You can't have the cake and eat it. Mr. Speaker, that's what it is about. When you say "and", I take it that you are saying that D must fall together with A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D are all together. I'm addressing the chair. I'm addressing the Speaker. That's point number one. Point number two. That's about no member may, whether within or outside the Dewan, by conduct, action, or words ridicule, dispute, show contempt for, or deliberately refuse to obey such ruling of the chair. Mr. Speaker, you may be the Lord in this house, but outside this house, we are subject to the same law and constitution. You can't regulate what I'm doing or what I say, how I act outside this Dewan. Is it? And also, Mr. Speaker, it is a cardinal convention a cardinal convention in Westminster's practice, which we are. This is a House of Commons, and you have always mentioned the opposition shall have his say, the government shall have its way. Now you are trying to even take away our right to have its say. My God, Mr. Speaker, that is That is not right. And also, Mr. Speaker, even court judgment is subject to dispute, subject to comment. There are so many legal articles about criticizing certain court judgment.
How you say, what you say, the words you choose, the phraseologies you use, they all matter. You are an honorable member of this august house. You cannot be blasé using seditious,
Mr. Speaker, since when I use seditious
libelous
I've been here
words
for 20
and all
years.
that.
Mr. Speaker,
You are a member of this house.
Yes, I know.
You have to choose your words, your phraseology carefully.
Yes.
You be considerate and thoughtful about it.
Yes,
if
I
you are
know.
blasé about it, you are also subjected to the law.
Yes, I'm subject to the law, Mr.
You have no
Speaker.
license to criticize anybody if the veracity of that statement is questionable and the source is not verified. Surely this house has the right. Surely this house has the
Mr.
right
Speaker.
to regulate its meetings.
Mr. Speaker.
Surely this house has the right
The Speaker
to
doesn't
judge
speak.
the words you use, the phraseologies you use.
The Speaker doesn't speak. That is the rule of our parliamentary convention. The Speaker doesn't speak. But if you are, Mr. Speaker, you are prepared to make a decision that is so one-sided or impartial, that is subject to criticism of the public. Bearing in mind, this is a House of Commons, the House of common people. This is not the House of the elites. This is a House of Commons where the common people of Sarawak, they form their opinion, they form their court of judgment outside. And your decision binds in this room, this house, this Dewan. Outside the Dewan, I can give comment. Anyone can give comment on how the Speaker decided whether it is fair, whether it is not fair.
In this house, a member enjoys immunity. Outside, you repeat it. You are talking about Westminster. How thick is a book on libel? How many statements have been sued in court in England?
Mr. Speaker, I'm just saying,
Democracy under
commenting
the law
on
of
your
libel
ruling
takes
outside
away
the
that
Dewan.
right.
Commenting on your ruling outside the Dewan. Disputing on your ruling outside the Dewan. I can dispute, don't agree with you. I am entitled to not agree with you, and I'm entitled to speak my mind. That I do not agree with your judgment or ruling in this house. Is that wrong? And in this proposed amendment, you are going to take away my right for that.
You are allowed to disagree.
Mr. Speaker, that's why
But when you disagree
I cannot agree to
contemptuously
this
and
amendment.
use words that are libelous,
I'm not using words that are libelous.
that is why it's being judged.
The words here.
You are not being gagged. You
No,
are
the
not being
words
gagged.
here, dispute. The proposed amendment here, dispute. Okay, I agree. I may not be allowed to bring you to ridicule you, to show contempt of you, your ruling. All right, but definitely outside this Dewan, I am entitled to not to obey your ruling, and I'm entitled to dispute your ruling. I am entitled to not disagree with you. Is that the right that you are going to take away with this proposed amendment? Is that the intention of this proposed amendment? This is ridiculous. Mr. Speaker, we are elected by people here to speak without fear and favor. And you are trying to instill fear into member of state assemblymen in their debate.
You can speak without fear or favor, but with facts.
Yes, facts. I've always laid out the facts.
Then why are you always landed in court and you lose the case? How many times have you been sued?
Mr. Speaker,
you have been sued. How many times? And you have to pay.
Mr. Speaker,
don't tell this house you are talking facts and truth. You have been
are
sued.
getting very personal in this matter already.
You lose your
You are
case.
getting very personal. But as a speaker, you have to be impartial, and the speaker doesn't debate with me, argue with me.
didn't see you.
The person to argue with me is the minister, not you.
I did not see you.
Is that your motion?
But because you address it to me and you take it personal, I never sue you. The other members sued you and you lost the case. You had to pay a fine. How many times? You insulted the government about black hole and so forth, and then you're fined. You are not talking about facts.
There is no fine. Mr. Speaker, choose your word properly. I was not fined. I was not fined, Mr.
You have to
Speaker.
pay damages.
Damages. That is not fine.
It's
You
the
know the
same
difference,
thing you have to
Mr.
pay.
Speaker. You have to know the difference. Fine. Fine and damages is different. And mind you, Mr. Speaker, the case is on appeal.
Don't
quote
Donald Trump.
And up to today, the
Donald
judge has not written a written judgment on my
Donald
case.
Trump is convicted felon. You are quoting him.
What is that?
Donald Trump is a convicted felon. You are quoting him as an example.
You want to condemn him from across the board?
We don't need to contact. He's
Are you going to
convicted
condemn
by
him?
the court in New York.
I'm not praising him. I'm just saying a fact that he was elected as a president, and I use that as an example that with the
How many
with this
times have been
proposed
sued
amendment,
in the High
you
Court of
can't-
Borneo?
You can't even.
How many times have you could be sued in
Mr.
Borneo?
Speaker, you say that he's a convicted felon. How do you know that? Did you
Okay.
verify that? Did you verify? Did you call him out? Did you call the Department of Justice?
I'll ask the minister to do the winding up. Now, you demonstrate a conduct. That is why the standing order has to be regulated. This type of conduct. You speak for yourself. With this conduct, you are demonstrating why the amendments are necessary to curb this sort of conduct. Okay, Honorable Minister, you went up. So, went up. Honorable members, surely this Dewan has the right to regulate how the meeting should be, what the word should be. Surely, if you tell lie about me, I will tell the truth about you. Okay.
Terima kasih, Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker. I wish to express my thanks and appreciation to members of this August House for participating in the debate on this motion. Members from Talian, from Meradong, Bating Maru, from Murun, Bawangasan, Bukit Bangunan, from Penting, from Kota Sentosa, and from Padungan. I'm very much inspired by what I have heard from members of this August House. It has been an overwhelming support for this particular motion, except for members from Penting and Padungan. But I can understand. But one thing I would like to say down here, the standing order are meant for each and every one of us. It is not meant only for the opposition. Quoting what a member from Padungan has mentioned just now, from Penting has mentioned, the introducing of the motion is meant to suppress and oppress the opposition and to create a culture of fear. It is not meant to be that way. I believe each and every one of us know that the moment we get elected, we are here putting in our vow, our oath as honorable member, and to do our best in the Dewan as well as outside of the Dewan. the honorable title, the Yang Berhormat title, need to be earned. We have to show that we are responsible, not just inside the Dewan and inside the Dewan or outside the Dewan. Well, a lot have been said about why the motion was introduced. It was meant to improve the sanctity of this Dewan. I'm very much encouraged, I'm very much inspired, as I mentioned just now, by what the members of this August House had mentioned. It is the responsibility of each and every one of us, when we are debating, when we are outside of this House, when we're having press conference, to tell the truth. To tell the truth and not to do the opposite, that is to tell the untruth. And I fully believe that that is what the whole intention of this motion, why I introduced this motion. Things have changed. Those days, how we communicate with the public is different from what we and how we communicate these days. With social media being introduced, we hardly use surat layang or written form. That is where standing orders need to undergo this kind of revolution too. And that is why it is just timely for us to come up with this kind of motion, with me to come up with this kind of motion to guide us so that we can preserve this August House and make it, and make us as well as make this August House be really being respected, not just by the ahli-ahli yang berhormat, but also by those outside there, members of the public, as well as those from other states or other countries, how they will look at us. Well, I don't have much more to say, even though I've written so much down here. I have to say once again, express my thanks to all those members who have debated on this bill. As it is, as I mentioned just now, it's not meant to penalize, it's not meant for the members of the opposition, but any change on the standing order applies to each and every one of us, in this August House, whether it's now or whether it's in future after the election, those who are going to be elected, it will still apply to them. On that note, Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, I wish to express again my thanks to all ahli-ahli yang berhormat who has given their opinion to support this particular motion that I'm introducing today, and the views of the two members from Penting and Kota Sentosa. We will look into that. As it is, Padungan and Penting, Padungan has mentioned about newspapers. Personally, I see it is still relevant down here. When you say it's newspaper, you cannot just limit to newspapers that are in Malaysia. We know that for newspaper to be able to be on the street, they need to be licensed, they need to have permits from Kementerian Dalam Negeri. But then you can also be quoting newspapers that come from other countries that are also newspapers. And that is where the responsibility need to be there. Whatever we want to introduce into the Dewan or outside of the Dewan, if we are to quote wrongful, untrue information from newspapers or portals or WhatsApp or other form of social media, it will still be applicable in this particular case. Terima kasih, Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker.
What is meant by the amendment is the lie repeated outside must not be dignified in this honorable house. All right, Nangka to second.
Tan Sri Dato' Amar Speaker, I beg to second the motion. Thank you very much.
Alilai Muhammad, the question is that the motion in the name of Honorable Minister for Tourism, Creative Industry and Performing Arts, Minister for Youth, Sports and Entrepreneur Development, and Member for N15 Asajaya be approved. As many other opinions say yes. As many contrary opinions say no. Only one voice. Huh? The motion is approved. Alilai Muhammad, I shall put this ministerial motion to the vote. As many opinions say yes. As many opinions say no, the yes of it. I hereby declare that the ministerial motion in the name of the Honourable Minister for Tourism, Creative Industry and Performing Arts, Minister for Youth, Sports and Entrepreneur Development, and Member for N15 Asajaya be approved. Alilai Muhammad, sitting is now adjourned and the House shall resume its sitting at 9 a.m. tomorrow.